Councilwoman Hayner, Councilman Kitchen, Councilman Secreto, Councilman Van Cleek, Supervisor Quigley.
Here. Thank you very much and welcome to the Town of Ulster Town Board Workshop for Thursday, September 7th, 2023. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? None. Are there any members of the public here tonight who wish to speak about agenda items outside of the public hearing that we have scheduled? Thank you. Communications?
No communications.
Do you have the details on the 9/11 ceremonies?
I do. I posted it on our website this morning. The first ceremony begins Saturday, September 9th at Ulster Hose at 8:30 Ulster Avenue. That's at 10 a.m. The next two ceremonies are on September 11th, directly on September 11th. The first one is 10 a.m. at Robert Post Park. That is the town's and the Emergency Services Annual Celebration, Memorial Ceremony at Robert Post Park at 10 o'clock. And then Spring Lake Firehouse, there will be another reading of the names at 7:30 p.m. On September 11th.
Please come out if you can. Under new business, the first item, presentation and acceptance of the monthly supervisors report for the month of July 2023. It has been distributed. We are going back to the monthly process now that we've been able to catch up. There's nothing to call anyone's attention to in that report. Still early in the budget year for trends to reveal themselves. May I have a motion to accept? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a standard item that we do every year. It is a motion to set a public hearing for the 2024 East Kingston Fire Company for Thursday, October 5th, 2023 at 7:10 p.m. I have a motion. And a second. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Secreto.
This is a resignation letter that was sent to Chief Berardi. The subject is resignation of dispatcher Williamson. On August 21st, 2023, dispatcher Williamson, who was in field training, emailed me and advised me that the job is not the right fit for her, and she wished to resign from her position as part-time dispatcher with the Ulster Police Department. So I make a motion that we accept her resignation.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the motion to authorize the closing of account 5876, the 90-day investment account at the Bank of Greene County. This account was authorized to give the town flexibility in its investments, but we have chosen another direction that yields higher interest rates. So may I have a motion? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a presentation of a local law blank of 2023. It's the modification of section 190 of the zoning code of the town of Ulster pertaining to the redevelopment overlay district, and that is at I Park 87. This is a presentation of the law. The law will be published on the town's website. At the next meeting, we will set a public hearing for public comment on this law and continue on with the legislative process. No action is required here tonight by the town board. The next item on our agenda is a presentation of local law number blank of 2023. A local law to establish a temporary moratorium on new sanitary sewer connections in the Ulster Sewer District. Again, this is a presentation of a law. It is to be published on the town's website. At the next meeting, we will take and set a public hearing where we will take public comment and continue with the legislative process. The reason for the moratorium is that there are sewer constraints on Voices Lane Du Bois Lane Interceptor, which was built in 1975 or thereabouts. And it is currently over capacity. There have been several development proposals for areas that would utilize that as the main transmission route to the Ulster wastewater treatment plant. And we have to be diligent in making sure that we can handle the sanitary flows, as well as to consider what actions are going to be needed to be taken to resolve the problems on the line. Moving to old business. Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with public sector HR consultants to revise the Town of Ulster employee handbook. May I have a motion? Any discussion? This is for the price of $2,500 to revise the Town of Ulster employee handbook, which was last done in 1996. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Secreto?
This comes out of the police department. This is for a hire of a full-time dispatcher. Employee's name is Madison E. Van Kuren. It comes from the police department. Money comes out of the general fund. It's full-time, competitive, union position with the PBA, full-time health insurance. So step one, wage will be $19.07. Start date will be 08/23/2023. And this comes at the recommendation of Chief Berardi. And I make a motion to hire Madison E. Van Kuren as a full-time dispatcher.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our scheduled agenda. We have a 7:10 public hearing for BBH Sapphire Trust for the site plan approval. Project 891 at 127 to 133 Glenary Boulevard, Saugerties, SBL 39.7-8-1.1. Given the various comments made at prior town board meetings about the area of Glenary, I felt it was sufficient to have a public hearing to take comments from the local residents about this specific project. So with that, it's just a couple of minutes before 7:10. I would like a motion to open the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have comments in reference to this project that you wish to make the town board aware of, please come to the podium and make your comments.
Good evening. I'm Mary Jo Frederich. I live on Glenary Boulevard, and I'm an active member of the Glenary Lake Park Improvement Association. I was here, I think, at the last meeting. It wasn't really a public meeting, but I did reference a letter that we had sent to the planning board back in February of 2023, and we never got any kind of response from that letter. So part of what I would ask, and I'll come to it at the end, is we would ask that somebody take a look at that letter and look at the things that we did ask for. Since February, we did get an updated listing of the property owners. So I just wanted people to get a little bit of an understanding of Glenary Boulevard and just how many apartments we already have on this small stretch of Ulster County. So it's approximately 3 miles round trip, right? It's a dead end. And about a half a mile, I'm just guessing, of that is CSX tracks. So there would never be any houses there anyway. So that gives us about 2.5 miles. On that 2.5 miles, we have 52 or 53. I think one of them is flooded, so you can't rent it. But we've got 52 units that can be rented today. And we only have 122 properties. And 9 of those properties have these, what I call multi-unit housing facilities. So that's 3 or more apartments. I'm not talking about the family compound with 3 houses. I'm not talking about, the two-bedroom apartment off the side of a house. These are properties that have at least 3 units or more. So there's 9 of them. So, I mean, if you look at those numbers and you say, well, if there's, maybe 125 houses and there's 53 apartments, you're now talking somewhere around 30% of the 2.5 miles is already dedicated to multifamily housing apartments. And I don't know what the density ratio is supposed to be for housing. And that's something I need to get educated on. But it seems to me that we're kind of being urbanized without really having any say. So considering that and considering how this additional development would add another 6 units to the boulevard, we're asking that somebody take a real look at Glen Eyrie Boulevard. And in the letter, which I still to this day don't understand how the planning board claimed that they didn't see the email and they didn't see the 2 copies that were hard copy papers that we sent in. And you certainly did see the CC that we did. And we do appreciate the fact that you called us and you had a discussion with us. So I did. Exactly. I did. And we're going to come back around to that because I do think we have some other issues there. And we're going to we already had a discussion about having them come in and talk to the organization. It's something we do periodically. So we value their services. And we value the fact that you picked up the phone and called us immediately. So anyway, so the things in that letter that I still feel somebody needs to take a look at before going forward with any kind of development like this is, we did ask for a traffic study. We have this petition now and it's got about 94 people and I'm sure it's growing still. Every time I spoke to somebody, the first thing they asked me about is what are we going to do about the speeding? We have too many cars already and it's a real problem and people are frightened. Adding more units is just going to exacerbate that situation. So we would like, before something like this got approved, we would really, really appreciate if somebody would take a look at the traffic study, because I think there's a lot more traffic on that boulevard than people realize. There is also some traffic, people visiting for various and sundry reasons, and we can go into that at another meeting, right? And I'm not sure I'm going to say this right, but the Socorro process, we did ask, so how do you say it? Seeker? Okay. We did ask that we could follow its progress and be alerted to the findings, because as you know, we live on the creek, we have bald eagles, we're worried about leach fields, worried about all these kinds of things in the environment. So that was something else that we did ask the planning board to keep us apprised of. And I'm not sure of any updates on that at all. And then the last thing was recreational space. And I thought there was a requirement when new developments were put in place that there was some code that said they had to bring in X number of square feet for public use. And that would be, I think, under some code called the Parkland and Recreation Fees. I don't know if this property fits into that, but that would be something that we need to be educated on. We would ask for consideration. Those are my comments, and I thank you for your time always. There are a number of people here. I don't know if they feel that we've said a lot in the letter already. So if we can use this forum as a way to get some of those things answered, that would be great. Anybody else?
Not on, you're close to the hearing, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right, but you usually have comment. There we go, that's what we're looking for. I do.
I know. Yeah, and I think there's probably a good reason for it, and I'd like to address that. So these are more preemptive comments. My name is Regis Sobajeski, and I'm speaking on behalf of the town of UlsterCitizens.org this evening. I live at 170 Ledge Road. I wish to offer the following preliminary comments on the effects of a publicized proposal of an upscale housing and golf course development that includes 520 acres in Woodstock that are intended to be joined with an adjacent 106 acres in the town of Ulster. We viewed a recording of the hour-long July 20th Woodstock Planning Board meeting with the principal developers of Woodstock National, who presented their first draft plans as a prelude to a formal application. Judging from the gracious yet pointed remarks from the Woodstock officials, we think that the developer will have some heavy lifting to do to demonstrate project feasibility against town standards and expectations. We note the following points made by the Woodstock Planning Board. Xena Woods, the area in question, is designated as a critical environmental area because of its ecological sensitivity of forests and wetlands. The 90 unattached residences in the concept plan are on 1 to 4 acres, and new residential development in Woodstock requires at least 5 acres. When the concept plan becomes an application, the planning board would like to see evidence that all applicable Woodstock zoning codes and wetlands preservation requirements are being adhered to. Some of Woodstock's regulations are more stringent than those of the New York State DEC. The affordable housing area of the 12 to 20 units appears to be separate from all other housing, and it is located just below the central sewer treatment plant for the site. Both appear to be near the Sawkill Creek. An application will need a full discussion on personal and environmental health and safety issues related to these placements. And finally, the FAA certified small plane landing strip in the uppermost part of the map would be used mostly as a golf course, a golf practice range, and occasionally a helipad. More information will be needed. In the current plan, the 106 acres in the town of Ulster would remain landlocked with ingress and egress only through Woodstock. This parcel is slated to accommodate 3.5 to 4 golf holes out of the 18 holes and a cluster of 77 townhomes in the northeast corner of the parcel 39.1-1-21.100. The county's parcel viewer indicates steep slopes and a stream where golf holes are planned. We cannot imagine how that terrain will not be compromised in the shaping of golf holes, their maintenance, and the wear and tear by golfers and golf carts. The golf course planner claims to have a strong focus on conservation, with the golf course being a non-chemicalized sustainer of the natural environment. That seems to us to be more aspirational than practical. Conservation denotes preservation and protection, but it should not connote exploitation and change of purpose. Our initial opinions of this project in the town of Ulster disfavor the concept plan as publicized. One, the town of Ulster parcel known as Ruby Woods is landlocked. There are no roads directly connected to the town of Ulster for emergency or highway department access. Road access to this site from our town may not be possible. Two, the town of Ulster does not need another golf course, and certainly not one that is exclusive. Within 20 miles of the town of Ulster, there are already 20 serviceable golf courses. 2 of them, Wiltwick Golf Club and in the town of Ulster, and the Woodstock Golf Club are near the proposed site and would welcome new members. Wiltwick, once a members-only club for people in our area, has for several years welcomed public play because they cannot recruit enough members to achieve economic viability. We do not need high-end housing, but rather more affordable housing like many of the 800 units planned by iPark 87. We do not need more clear cutting of trees planned for these 106 acres of Ruby Woods, a parcel which borders a conserved forest that is overseen by the Woodstock Land Conservancy. Plans for residential water include only private wells and may or may not be adequate for the 77 townhomes and may or may not compromise wetlands. The same is true of the water required for the golf course. We do not expect the Town of Ulster Planning Board or the Town of Ulster, or excuse me, the Town Board itself to take these comments under consideration until and unless an application is formally delivered by the developer. Nevertheless, the intent of the Woodstock National developer is out in the public domain. And these comments from the Town of Ulster Citizens.org pertain only to that intent. If the formal application of Woodstock National resembles the intent that they have already floated, we are available to learn more about any changes and offer public comment as appropriate. Thank you.
No. Same topic. Is that okay? Briefer than Regis's. No, no comment. No, nothing negative. I just want to add a few comments to Regis's statement about the Woodstock National Project. I agree with all the points that he made, that there are really so many flaws in their proposal. With those well-made points laid out, I wanted to remind us of a few big picture things for us to keep in mind, things that a new comprehensive plan would certainly address, which I know that that you all are considering doing. While our weather in the Northeast has been mostly reasonable, except for the past few days, there have been so many areas around the country and the world that have suffered. The 120-degree weather in the Southwest, flooding at Burning Man, flooding in many parts of the country, wildfires in Canada, the hurricane that just went through Florida, and flooding abroad in Greece and Norway, droughts in various other parts of the world. The list of extreme events just goes on and on. We were mostly spared this summer, but we all remember the ice storm and the tornadoes of 2022. Who knows what we will face in the coming months and years. With that, we all must take climate change seriously and do everything we can to protect our natural resources. We cannot live without clean water or clean air. We must protect our wetlands, waterways, and aquifers. We need to remember that trees and shrubs are the lungs of the earth. If we remove a tree, we must replace it. And having a carbon offset policy within the town would be really helpful with this. Any projects that we consider for our town must provide something positive to our community more than just money. iPark 87 is a great example of a good neighbor. There are so many things that they are doing to enhance our community, like providing affordable housing, not luxury housing, cleaning up the property, and bringing in good businesses that are good for the community. We welcome good neighbors that enhance our community and help us to protect our natural resources, not vanity projects like Woodstock National that deplete them and offer nothing of substance to our quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. The topic is not about Woodstock National. The topic is in your planning board agenda, there is an application about another car wash. And this is something that I have a concern about because we already have 2 car washes on Ulster Avenue. And to just pick up on the protection of our natural resources, that being water, I think we ought to consider what kind of damage that could occur. You know, we already have 2 car washes. Do we really need 3? And we do need to protect our natural resources. So I'm sorry that I don't have a written comment, but I will definitely have one next time.